Welcome back to our final episode in our series on feedback. I'm joined today by Harpal. Thank you for taking the time to join today.
Pleasure to be here, Rami.
Now, across our conversations, one of the themes that keeps coming up is around finding the right balance between workload and impact and making sure that the effort we put into feedback genuinely moves learning forward. So, when it comes to feedback, what is one thing you would keep and one thing you would drop?
That's a great question, Ramya. I feel like you throw me under the bus here a little bit, asking me to try ditching something. It's a really tough one. I 100% will be keeping verbal feedback. I think anytime a teacher's providing the feedback, I think we know the quality level of it is going to be good. The subject knowledge that comes from that teacher is going to be excellent. And we then know the students receiving that feedback are going to get a quality bit of feedback, which is hopefully quite concise and something the student can act upon straight away. So I'm definitely keeping verbal feedback. Getting getting rid of something with feedback is tough because I think there's a time and a place for all types of feedback. If I am critical and I'm thinking within my own practice, within a practical subject especially, I think if I had to ditch one, and this is only if I had to, because ideally I like it and I do keep it and we use it all the time, would be peer feedback. So student to student, because I sometimes think the quality you get from it isn't as good as a teacher giving it. Also, we have to facilitate the conversation, so it requires the teacher to ensure that there's a talk frame, for example, to ensure the oracy part of the feedback has a structure to it. We have to provide them with key language, key vocab that needs to be included in their feedback to their fellow student, and in some cases a success criteria, or in some cases a resource that provides them with the tools to give the feedback. So if I had to ditch one purely for quality and the time taken in terms of workload to ensure the quality of feedback the student is going to give is going to be good, it requires the teacher to produce a lot. And it requires the teacher also then to do what we would normally do, is to circulate and check the quality of feedback. So if I had to get rid of one, it would be that. But I do think there is a time and a place for it. Practical subjects, I know we rely on it heavily because we're in such big rooms and we can't circulate and see or hear everything in a sports hall or in a DT classroom that are quite large. So it's important it's there. But if I had to ditch one, it would be the peer feedback.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think like with verbal feedback, it sits in that sweet spot where workload is low but the impact is high. Whereas with peer marking, even or peer feedback, even when you do scaffold it, it can be inconsistent and unreliable. And that's not to say that it doesn't have any place in the classroom, but it just doesn't have the greatest workload impact payoff, which, yeah, I think you explained really, really
Yeah,
nicely.
and we want impact with the feedback that our students are getting, and if it gives the least impact, I guess, then that would be the one to ditch.
Yeah, definitely.
How about yourself, Ramya? In terms of your practice and classroom practice, if you had to keep one and ditch one, what would it be?
I think I would drop generalized success criteria. They're often really broad. I think students can struggle to translate them into concrete actions, so then their work doesn't actually improve. Um, I think I'd keep models because they give students a really clear and tangible example of what high quality work actually looks like and what to aim for. And in fact, I'd say that success criteria only becomes meaningful when they're used alongside models because they show how like each focus can translate into practice, and otherwise that success criteria it's just too abstract.
Yeah, no, I like that. Spot on.
It's interesting though because the common theme here is that the strategies worth keeping are ones that offer students clarity and something tangible to act on. So the crucial thing is to remove any ambiguity and make next steps clear in a way that isn't that onerous on the teacher.
Mm.
Thank you for talking through those with me. If you can give staff one takeaway from our conversation, what would it be?
One's a really tough one. I would say just consider the quality of feedback and what is the impact you're hoping that feedback to be, which will obviously link into exactly what you just, something tangible for the students to go and do. And if quality feedback is verbal, whether it's a form of live marking, whether you believe the quality is through peer marking, whatever it is in your classroom, in your setting, just consider the quality of what the students are getting, and is there something that will have an impact on their learning journey with the feedback they are given.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really great takeaway, really useful, and touches nicely on the value of teacher judgment in each situation. And with that, we close our series on feedback. What these episodes have highlighted is that strong feedback isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things well and building a culture where students understand how they can move their learning forward. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you'd like to be involved with future conversations, please get in touch with a member of the Learning and Teaching team.